And so next, I know we're going to disagree with each other on this one. Um, so I was more mad at this pick, I think, than the Jordan Love one, just like after it all went down. But you gave him a B. What are your thoughts on AJ Dillon, and why'd you give him a B?
So once again, obviously when we drafted AJ Dillon, just like Jordan Love, he did not come in right away.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that we were not going to have Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones the following season. And AJ Dillon could be that second guy. He doesn't have to be the first guy right now. He might be the first guy. He will be the first guy for us one day. But I honestly did not think we'd resign Aaron Jones. I'm glad we did. He's a great running back. But I thought we'd get Jamal Williams and AJ Dillon. But AJ Dillon backing up Aaron Jones is very exciting for me. AJ Dillon carried the ball 46 times last season, and in those 46 times, he had 242 yards. That's just over 5 yard average, and he only scored 2 touchdowns, but he wasn't going to play at all. So he got 2 more touchdowns than I expected. He did not do too much in the receiving game. I believe he only had 2 or 3 receptions last year,
Yeah.
but Aaron Jones can receive. So AJ Dillon's the guy who can run right up the middle between the tackles multiple times a game, and I really like that. I think he's a stronger back than Jamal Williams was. Jamal
Mhm.
Williams was a good back, really fun to have around. I love Jamal Williams, but
Yeah.
AJ Dillon's that new guy, and I like him backing up Aaron Jones, and I'm excited for him to be a future backer.
Okay, so I like AJ Dillon the player. Now, here's where I just don't like it. First off, we already had two running backs, and if we wouldn't have kept either of Jones or Williams, I'd have been like, okay, that makes sense that you're doing that, like drafting a running back in the second round. And that's the thing that gets me is I just don't see the value in that if you're not going to start him day one. Running back is one of the few positions that is pretty easily transferable from college to the pros. It has a greater hit rate than most other positions, I would say. You look at the 2017 NFL draft, there's over 12, I think there's probably like 12 to 15 running backs that have played significant time. That's like half the league right there. And they were taken all over the place. There was McCaffrey to Dalvin Cook to Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. Austin Eckler was undrafted. There's other guys too. So I just don't see the value in that. And then, okay, he's like a ram. He's basically a ram, right? Like he comes in, you hand it to him up the middle. He faces stack box a ton at Boston College. And then this was also our deepest position. We had Jones and we had Williams last year. So he was our third running back for the majority of the year. And I just don't see the point of doing that if you're a second-round team. And we just played the Niners, who ran for over 200 yards on us. We didn't draft defense till round 5, and we took one of the most luxurious positions in the second round when that's our deepest position. That's where it gets me, and I just don't like the pick. I don't mind A.J. Dillon as a player. It's just more of the positional value with it already being a deep position for us.
So if we didn't draft AJ Dillon last year, then we'd obviously have to draft a running back this year. Like we
Yeah,
wouldn't
that'd be
really have a
fun.
choice at this point.
Yeah.
And when would we do that, you think? Because we've already talked about what the Packers need to draft this year, and I just don't think we can use a pick this year on a running back.
We'll see. We could, if we would have addressed some of our other needs, like whether that be linebacker, D-line, receiver, particularly in the second round last year, that would have been what I think would have been the better idea. So we draft a receiver in, say, the second or a D lineman, and then that's not as much of a need this year. And then we could draft a running back this year. Because like I said, like running back is one of the positions that can transfer pretty easily. And running backs obviously don't stay in the league very long compared to, say guards or tackles. Their bodies just wear down faster. And so we took him and we didn't really get much tread with him. And he's not. And now we re-signed Jones, so he's not even our starter. So we spent a second-round pick on our third running back, and now he's our second running back. And he's a good running back.
We use two running backs. Like we're not like some other teams where it's one guy gets 95% of the carries.
Yeah,
like,
no,
he's gonna get his touches.
Yeah, no, we definitely run like a running back by committee for sure. We did last year, and I'm sure we'll do it again this year. But still, I just don't like taking a position that's not valued high in the second round, and he's not even our starter. That's where it gets me. And we could have used him a lot more in short yardage situations. If you remember in 2019, we were one of the worst third and short offenses.
I remember.
Yeah, and I feel like that was like the main reason we decided to draft him. And we got the next guy we're going to talk about, DeGuero, who's a good blocker, and we were going to run more heavy packages where we just basically run the ball down the other team's throat. But we really didn't do that with him, and we could have because we still gotten a lot of third and short situations this year, but we still had Williams and Jones. So what was the point of getting him if you're not going to utilize his talents? Like his talents of being really good in the short against the stack boxes. He's a massive human being.
So the Packers, not this last season, but 2 seasons ago, they got to the NFC Championship game, and they really thought that they could get to the Super Bowl and win with that same team. They did not think they needed to get. We knew that they needed one or two more pieces, and that's what we're telling them this year. I think
that, right?
they're going to listen this year. Yeah, but they didn't. They were like, we can already get it. We're going to have Rodgers for one more year. Let's draft for the future. And that's what they thought. They were just looking too far ahead. And now we got to the exact same spot because we had the exact same team. So this year, they learned. They made a mistake and they learned. This year, we're going to draft for the now, hopefully. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, AJ Dillon is going to be part of the team this year, though. Jordan Love's not going to play this year, but AJ Dillon is. And he's going to play every game.
Yeah. No, and then here's the other thing, too, is like, he's not that versatile in the fact that he's not a great route runner. He's not going to be making.
No, he's not a receiving back.
I don't think he's the best blocker either. Like pass protection, Jamal Williams was our guy for that. So he's more of just like a one-dimensional runner, and that in the second round to me is just like, I just don't get the value there. I really don't. There was other places I would have preferred to go than running back in the second when we already have Jones and Williams. Mm-hmm. I'm happy he's on the team, though, because he is a good player. Don't get me wrong. Like, that Tennessee game, he looked phenomenal. And, he did average over 5 yards a carry. So when he got touches, like, he did look good. But, like, what was the point of doing that when we could have filled other holes? And running back, they could have just taken that this year instead of last year in the second round.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that covers AJ Dillon. So yep. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think Nick is more of a fan of it than I am for sure. He gave him a B. But yeah, he'll definitely contribute this season as our second running back behind Aaron Jones.